Have you used it in a year? One of my most frequently asked questions when it comes to decluttering is, where do I start? Start with the 1-year rule. It could be clothes or books or kitchen gadgets or even larger items being stored in the garage or the attic. It might be difficult to get rid of the storage tub of clothes that no longer fit you, or a box of items you bought to do a project that you never did. But if they've been sitting there for more than a year, it's time to be realistic with yourself. If you really wanted to do it, you would have already done it. We make a way for the things we really want. For the other things, we make excuses. So let's talk about moving for a second. Our family has moved so many times. Our first big move was from Chicago to Hawaii, and this is really where our life of simplicity started. We had to decide what things we wanted to pay to ship across the Pacific Ocean. So this caused us to evaluate every single item in our home and decide if we really needed it. This included clothes and toys and belongings for our 3 children. It was pretty eye-opening to see how much stuff we had been storing in our garage, attic, and basement that we weren't even using. We were just hanging on to it, just in case. But friends, I've said it before and I'll say it again. There is no just in case. If you haven't used it in a year, you're not going to use it. Moving, or even pretending that you're moving, is a great way to start this process. Just go through one room or area at a time and think about what you would absolutely have to have if you were moving, but you had to pay by weight to move everything thousands of miles. But, and this is important, set a timer. If you don't limit your time, you will most likely spend way too long lingering and looking at each item, and the longer you have to think about it, the higher the chances are of you keeping it. If you have to think about it, it's probably something you don't need to keep. Only keep the things you love. Do not keep things because you might need it someday, or because your aunt gave it to you for your birthday, or because you spent a lot of money on it. The only reason you should keep something is because it serves a purpose, and you use it, or you absolutely love it and it adds beauty to your home. Life happens fast, and sometimes we just haven't made time to go through the boxes or the piles. But the solution is not to store it neatly or organize it in fancy containers. If there's an area you are ignoring, or if you're procrastinating on something, there is usually a reason, and it would be really beneficial to figure out why you are avoiding it. Getting started, or feeling overwhelmed with getting started in that spot in your house, can cause us to put off the work we need to do. So at some point, we need to set aside some time and just start. Setting goals is all fine and good, but science actually says that saying you are going to do something can be just as satisfying to your brain as actually accomplishing the task. So instead of saying, someday I'm going to build, or when life settles down, I'll have time to, one of these days I'm going to, be realistic and try saying, someday I'd really like to do that, but right now it's just not going to happen. And that's okay. It's time to move on. You're not going to use it more by storing it. You live in a home, and the things you own are meant to be used and enjoyed. If they aren't, they need to go and stop taking up precious space. And it's okay to have empty space. You don't need to fill every wall or corner or closet. Pieces of furniture will end up collecting things, including dust. So keep that in mind as you declutter, one room at a time, and start with what you haven't used in a year. If you like this video and want more tips about living a life of simplicity, click one of the videos on your screen, and I'll see you there.